Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher.
L'année 2003 sera une grande année pour la compagnie Ford. Celle-ci célébrera ses 100 ans en tant que constructeur automobile. En effet, c'est le 16 juin 1903 exactement que le fondateur Henry Ford débutait son entreprise. Sur ce même élan, Automobile Paquin est heureux de faire partie de leur patrimoine depuis maintenant 55 ans. Sur cette note, mentionnons que cette année, Automobile Paquin est fier de s'être mérité le prix du président pour avoir pu atteindre les objectifs de vente et de satisfaction envers la clientèle. Faisant partie du personnel aidant à atteindre ce prestigieux prix, mentionnons Raymond, préposé au département des pièces. De son côté, Maurice, aviseur technique, saura répondre à vos besoins pour un rendez-vous. Francine vous aidera tant sur le plan de la téléphonie cellulaire que sur les conseils judicieux d'une assurance ou d'une garantie prolongée sur votre véhicule. Vous voulez faire une beauté à votre voiture? Debbie se chargera de maintenir le côté esthétique de celle-ci. Conrad et Stéphane, des techniciens ensemble avec plus de 25 ans d'expérience. Sonia saura vous conseiller pour le choix de votre prochain véhicule. Pour une voiture d'occasion, vous voulez un modèle précis et on ne l'a pas? Venez nous voir, on vous la trouvera. N'oubliez pas, à Témiscamingue depuis maintenant près de 11 ans, Automobile Paquin, la famille pour vous servir.
We're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Oh, we're gonna rock down to Electric Avenue, and then we'll take it higher. Working so hard like a soul.
We're at the opemican depot here. This is the building you see near close to me here. It's about 150 years old. And it's made out of square logs, the front end of it. That used to be a stopping place in 1888 for the people who used to go by here to go to different places up the lake. And the ICU, they took it over, I think in 1958 or 56, excuse me, 1888, the ICU started to take it over. And this was the place where for all the boats and everything, what they used to have around here. And the building you see here, that used to be for the foremans, and there was a cookery in there, and the captains of the boat and the engineers. That's why it's a very old building. If you could see it, you could see the square logs there. It was built with an axe. And the end of the building, you could see the way it was made. It's a kind of a, they call it a tail or beaver tail, I think they used to call that. and they put wooden pegs in there because the nails was pretty scarce at that time. And you could see in the front here, I guess you could see where the boats just come into the wharf there too. That's a very old wharf, and they were coming in here for to get their grubs and stuff like that here in the front, or the mail and everything just to come in by the front here. And they had another wharf at the back, that's for the repair and everything. But inside of this building, you'll see it's very old. It was still the same shape as it was when they started here. They just do a lot of painting in there, and that's all. It stayed always the same shape. And if you could see it at the back here, right to here, that was the old building, and then they put they stretch it a little bit, and then they stretch it again at the other end, because the more was going on, the more was people here, so that's why they put a bigger cookery and for place to eat and everything. But the front part, if you see all the logs here, there used to be rooms upstairs here, and that was for to sleep the captains. Then the bottom, that was for the engineers and the people just to come from Ottawa, because their head office was in Ottawa. They used to call this the ICO, but it's Upper Improvement Company. That's their name they had in Ottawa, but their mark on their logs, and on the lake here they had the paper, like they were for driving on the lake. They were the only company here that had the rights to drive on the lake, and that's why their mark was ICO for all their timber and everything. Like the CIP, their wood, it was a K, and booze was a B, and they had one time about 12 companies on this lake. And then they had up at the Naris, about 2.5 miles from here, they had 100 men there at one time, and to sort the wood from each company, they were putting different booms for different companies. And over here at the opemican depot, well, then that was the repairs, all the boats, and bring the boats out on the shore. They had a forge here. They had everything here at the depot. Everything what you could use for to repair all the boats. That was the ICO mark. That's what they had on their timber, and all their stuff they had here on the Pemmican, around the Pemmican. That was their mark, ICO. So they had this on the hammer, and they had that at different places. And the foreman always had an axe like that tied on him. And things that belonged to the ICO, if it wasn't marked, they would mark it with this. That's different companies. They had different marks, but like booze, they had the B, and the different companies. I just forget their name, but one was a V. That was they were bringing wood out of the Montreal River, the Matabitchewan River, and that was Gillis. They had a V on their for mark, but each company had a mark, a different mark. What you see behind me, it's an outhouse. That was for the building over here, where all the bosses and everything. Before they had a bathroom inside, we had to come out here on this one. There was 2 doors in it, and there's one man that still, he always came here because he thought he was a little bit, it stink a little bit too much, so he always came out here. And behind this building here, you can see it was a big garden here before. There was a garden, the show boy they used to make for the people here. And then on the end of the garden here, it used to be a walk-in fridge, what they call a walk-in fridge. It used to be 2 doors in there, and they used to fill that full of ice. Without the sawdust, the walls would be about over a foot thick around it, and you'd put about 250 pieces of ice in there. The ice used to be about 2 feet high by 16 inches square, and I used to keep everything cool. The first, when you come into the building, the first place it was for the butter and all kinds of milk and stuff like that, and then the bottom it used to be for the meat. They keep it cooler, but that's the way they used to keep their stuff here at one time. Everything was with ice. There was no electricity, and we always had lamps for coal light lamps. That's what we had here at one time for lights. And after they had the power came in with the Delco, then they had fridges and stuff like that. But that was pretty late. They used the ice a very long time. Even they had to make ice here. They had a nice place. They had put 600 or 700 pieces of ice in it. That was for the boats. Every time the boat would go up, they'd fill their boxes full of ice, but they had nothing on there to keep their meat besides the ice. And we used to make that ice in the wintertime. We had an ice saw, and we used to cut all that in the wintertime and fill that full of ice. We wanted to show you the well we had here for the water. It's a cement well. It's about 35 feet deep, and that's where we used to get our water. We had a pump. There's a line runs underneath the ground and went to the building here, and that's they had a pump there. That's when we used water for drinking and the cooking. We had a big tank above the hill that was for water for washing the dishes and water for the people to wash their hands and everything. And if you see a little farther on, there's a root house that used to keep our stuff in the wintertime. That's for the potatoes. They used to buy potatoes here in the fall of the year and put it in there for the spring. Because at the spring here, there was not everything was closed. The road was closed here at first. And everybody used to come by railroad, and we had a team of horses here would go and get the people at Dozwa and bring the people down. So most of the stuff they would put it in the fall here to have it for the spring. That's why they had the root house was made out of cedar, and it was about 16 by 20 in there. And they used to keep about 75 bags of potatoes they used to put in there. And all their canned stuff they used to put in there too, so it wouldn't freeze in the wintertime. So, this chain was the first old chain they had at the first time for flat timber. They used to put that through the hole and then lock it this way, and put a piece of wood alongside to jam it in there. They put one on each timber. Like that. That's the first old chain, and then it was the second one they had the bulldog chain. That was like this one here. To take them out, they had to put it through the mark here to take it out and put it back in. So this kind of chain they liked them because they wouldn't come apart by themselves, not too often. And this here, it was a snapshot that they used to put on the chain, and had a cable on here to put on the tree. So they would tie these booms to tie the booms along the shore, and to take them off, they'd hit this with a pack pole, and it would come out, and it would open up to leave it go. And on here they'd put a nail in there so this ring wouldn't come out. That's the way they were made. Some of them, they were square snapshot. These one that's a round one. This is a very old one. Now we have what they call a boom chain. This one here, the first chain they got here, used to come from England. It was a 7/8. These here, they're I think 7/8. Anyway, these here are a 3/4 inch chain. And they fit through the hole. They go through the hole here, and there's the staple on the end to block it. And then we have a dingus here. This thing is here, like we say, they put it through the other hole, and they grab the chain with the pack pole underneath, and they would put it on there to pull it through the hole, then to put them together. They had this clevis here to lock the chains together. They'd put it together, and then they'd put a 5-inch nail in here. So there was they all had a nail, because you never know where you were going to cut the booms. That's why they had all nails in them. And every spring of the year, we used to change pretty well all the nails, because they'd get wear out. And this here, they call this a picaroon. That was to pull the timber or the logs on the shore to throw them in the water. This is a hook for the pulp. You lift up the pulp and grab it and throw it in the water. And then you have what you call a peavey. The peavey here, that's for, you use them up near all over, but they use them a lot on timber to roll the timber. And they used to use them on the shore when they had big logs too. And then they use this here, that's a pack pole. All the boats and everybody here pretty near had a pack pole, because you were pushing or pulling wood on the shore. And this here was a pair of cork boots. These been wore out before, they're used before, and that's to run on the timber, to walk on the timber, because we had to check the timber, and we used to walk with the timber to check them. This building here, it was for all the iron that was done in here. There used to be lathe. It was a lathe here in the corner. It was a big lathe. You could see it at the end. And then it was a forge at the other end. Then we had for a drill on the wall there, and we had a big machine in the center to cut the iron. Then we had at the other end, we had a machine to make bolts, to make the head of a bolt and everything. Then on the side here, we had a machine to thread the bolts. And then in the center here, we had another machine. It was to plane the iron. Like a piece of iron was too thick or something, you could plane it, or make keys. Different things, like for keys and shafts and stuff like that. And then there was a pump here on the side that was to fill the water, the tank way up on the hill, to fill the tank for all the houses around when they were using the water.